Services we've tried on our autism journey, part 12. So we're still talking about the process of our journey to therapeutic placement for our daughter. This is the day of the IEP meeting. My husband and I both go and we bring Ella. And if you listened to part 11, of course, in our minds, we're like, Ella, you do you. Go for it. Show them who you are. They needed to see with their own eyes the safety concerns that we had. So the demeanor of the room. I've been to several IEP meetings, okay? Never in my life have I seen so many administration members attend an IEP meeting. If I had to guess, there could have been 15 to up to 20 people, administration, that attended this meeting. Of course, everyone is friendly, but it does seem like they're apprehensive and not really quite sure of always what to say. Keeping everything very short and sweet. I think it's obviously because we have a lawyer, they just want to watch what they say. Then there's just a select few that are trying to create the small talk and keep us comfortable. These are the people that we had normal communication with. Our lawyer arrived virtually. Ella is already getting antsy. She's not sitting still. The whole time I'm basically getting up out of the chair because she's getting up out of the chair, and I'm chasing her around the room back and forth, back and forth. I have a bag full of sensory items. I have poppets, I have ribbon, I have fidgets, I have chewies, all the things I can do to keep her occupied so they can see how intense her sensory needs are. Of course, I'm always noting like the safety concerns in every room that we walk into. Immediately, I notice a couple long extension cords going across the room into outlets. I do see plants. I knew there'd be plants. There's of course paperwork everywhere, which she loves to just grab and rip to pieces. Now, if you've been to an IEP meeting, the protocol is usually like your coordinator or person that handles Ella's case would coordinate the whole thing. So she introduces herself, we introduce ourselves, and then we go around the table. Everybody that's going to be working with Ella or everybody that's at the table introduces themselves. Then one by one, all of the professionals are going to talk about what they've read about Ella and what they think the plan should be moving forward. This is based on all of the history that I have given them thus far because they don't have anything else to go on. This is a new school district. They've never actually worked with Ella before. They just know what they know based on the data that the ABA Therapy Center gave her, the information I gave them of her history, and also the past IEP meetings that I had done at prior school districts. They gave all of that information that we went over at those times as well. So like the occupational therapist, the speech therapist, the school psychologist, the main teacher she'd be working with, all of the people that would be in Ella's weekly plan and helping her achieve her goals were there. They all have to take their turn giving the summary of what they know about Ella and how they can help her. They all seemed very on edge. They were very nervous. I could hear it in their voices. They were like at a loss for words a lot of times. Obviously, there's a lot of pressure to say the right thing when a lawyer is involved. I could tell that they all had talks beforehand about what to say. I feel like there was one instance where we were kind of going back and forth about if the amount of like speech minutes would be sufficient for Ella. The lawyer was going back and forth with the coordinator and the main teacher and the speech therapist. The coordinator at one time sat there, and after the speech therapist, who was newer to the field, like I think this might have been like her first major job as a speech therapist, you could tell she was nervous, but she was just being honest and truthful about what she thought was best. So she said what she thought was best about the minutes. She didn't think that we needed any more minutes. The coordinator said, "Are you sure?" and like stared her down. And she looked back like she didn't know what she wanted her to say. And she's just like, "No, I do not believe we need any more minutes in her plan, blah, blah." And she just like continues on and says the same thing. And then she goes, the coordinator again looked at her and she goes, "Look at me, look at me." And she goes, "Do we need any more minutes in her plan?" And the girl again did not know what to do. It was very awkward. I felt horrible for her because I don't want to put anybody in a situation like this, but the school system makes you as a parent have to put them in a situation like this because that's the only way you're going to get your child's needs met. It's really weird. The girl again said the same thing. The coordinator composed herself and started whispering to the people next to her. We continued on with the meeting, what direction they were going with that, where we could have maybe been owed more minutes for some reason, and they thought that it could come back on them. I'm not sure. Again, they don't really know the reason why we have a lawyer involved, except for the fact that I told them it's about Ella's safety. There were moments during the meeting where, of course, Ella went and ripped the plants. She basically ripped them to the point where the soil came out of the pot. It was all over the room. I had to continue to stop her from trying to do that, from putting it in her mouth. As I'm explaining my part as a parent to the whole room, I'm basically following Ella around, keeping her from stimming on dangerous things. She went to try and pick up the extension cord to try and stim with that. They saw that. Obviously, that's a safety concern. She kept going to I think the window blinds or whatever kind of blinds were on the window. It might have been a chain on the window, something like that. She kept going to try and stim with that. Everybody really just kind of watched me the whole time. I think there's a few people that wanted to try and help. They had a couple teachers' assistants in the room to help us. But honestly, if you don't know Ella, you don't really know how to help at first, and you have to observe. They didn't really know what to do. So a lot of the time, they just stood back and had to watch me as well because they didn't know kind of where their place was. All of the sensory items I think they brought to try and help the situation were not going to work for her. So they just kind of let me do my thing, and everybody just kind of watched me. And I think they understood that I had her there for a reason. I asked if I could do a half day for her because she'd never done school before, and she would also be doing ABA for half the day. And we didn't want to just rip her away from the ABA environment that she had been in for a long time now, also regress her from doing so. So they did agree to ease the transition for her by letting her go a half day. She would go from 7:35 a.m. because they wanted the special needs kids to get to the school and inside the school before the general education kids because that was just easier on them. I would drop her off at 7:35 in the morning, and I believe I picked her up at 12:15. Then from there, I would get her to ABA by 12:30, and then she would stay there until I think it was 3 or 3:30. They wanted her to stay until 5 or 5:30, and I'm like, absolutely not. That's too long of a day for her. I'm not doing that to her. Because of that, they ultimately said they could not continue working with us because they wouldn't have enough hours to continue progressing her to meet her goals. So they again agreed to do that for, I think it was another month or month and a half, in order to, again, not just rip her away from that environment and allow her to ease out of it. Go to part 13.